Hey gamers, I'm the Bad Luck Gamer, and welcome back to another video. We're talking today about the Investigator and why this class is awesome. And surprisingly, I don't have a whole lot to talk about as far as like news on the channel. We've been doing really well. I just want to thank you all so much for that before we get started. And come check us out at our table talk that we have on Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to about 8 p.m. We just talk about a variety of classes and things I feel like the players might not innately understand, because Pathfinder has a lot of things hidden that make it a lot better than it looks on the surface. Like a lot of their mechanics actually work really well together once you understand the system and once you get deeper in. But for people who are, less invested or who just want to play the game, that's what these videos are about. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that one of the classes that this particularly is applied to is the Investigator. Now, the Investigator is my favorite class, despite me disliking a lot of their feats. Not to say that their feats are bad, just a lot of the feats don't fit my playstyle necessarily. But let's go ahead and get started with the basic aspect of it. One of the things an investigator does is pursue a lead. Pursue a lead allows an investigator to look at some tracks on the ground, find evidence at a scene, and pick that target to pursue after them. This gives a bonus to perception checks, which is really good for finding this person. Also gives you a bonus to insight checks if someone is lying about the subject of your lead. It applies to so many things, but the real reason why I'm mentioning pursue a lead is devise a stratagem. Devise a stratagem is such a good feature. I can't even begin to really talk about it. Like, it's an action, yes. It's an action that you roll a d20, adding your intelligence modifier and your proficiency to attack. Or if you get something like athletic strategist, you can apply that to a grapple or a trip or any kind of other athletic maneuver as well. This, in tandem with the fact that with devise stratagem, if you use an agile or finesse weapon or a ranged weapon, you do extra precision damage, just like the rogue's, sneak attack. Makes you essentially a rogue, but you get to figure out what your number is beforehand. And because it's one action to do, you can roll it and you can be like, my number's really close, but I'm not 100% there. I'm going to feint and then do my devised attack, reducing their AC and guaranteeing your attack. You can essentially guarantee whether you're going to hit the opponent or not. Now, it has to be your next strike, but if you have spell casting in tandem and you roll really shitty devise a stratagem, you can actually be like, I don't see any openings, so I'm just gonna use a spell that has a spell saving throw instead, and try that way. Like, devise a stratagem lets you just decide how to attack, when to attack, and if your attack even hits. It gives you a superior amount of accuracy to your attacks that other classes just don't get the ability to have, which I think is absolutely amazing. And not only that, but devise a stratagem is also upgradable with feats. You can get the ability to, like I said, decide whether you want to do an athletics maneuver instead. Make a recall knowledge as a part of your devise a stratagem to give that one action you use even more bang for your buck. And recall knowledge is really, really good. On top of that, you can actually get a feat later, which we'll talk about, that will allow you to just make a target. And when it's your target that you're pursuing for your pursue a lead, devise a stratagem is a free action, which is huge. Investigator, like Rogue, gets a skill increase every level. And on top of that, with Keen Recollection, they also get a skill feat every level, as long as every odd level, or every even level, is a charisma, intelligence, or wisdom based skill feat. That's just really good. Your character just becomes a jack of all trades. You have an answer to every solution. You're going to have more expert, more master proficiencies in your skills than other characters will, making you incredibly diverse. Yes, you are not as strong as a martial character as some of the others because you take a little more time to set it up, but that is replaced with the sheer amount of skills and skill feats that your character is going to have, making you viable in every situation. And despite maybe not being at the same level as a fighter, you're still a really good martial class with the ability to do a bunch of extra damage on top of it with precision damage for an attack that you're already likely to make, unlike Rogue, who needs to make the opponent flat-footed. Granted, they have their solutions to do so. You just need to use your devise a stratagem. And speaking on devise a stratagem as well, I forgot to mention, you're intelligence-based. You're an intelligence-based class that uses intelligence to either hit or make an athletics maneuver if you have athletic strategist, meaning that you're a martial character who has more skills than normal because you're going to have a higher intelligence than normal, which is even better than Rogue possibly, because you get the same amount of skills, but you're intelligence-based, so you have more skill. It's a really, really solid class just at base. I've mentioned the feats, but just at base, already really good. High perception, again, makes your character very versatile in a lot of situations because normally you can't increase perception normally. You get up to legendary, and because you're still a martial class, it applies to your initiative as well, making the investigator just so incredibly solid as a base for any other kind of character that you'll do. And I'll get more on that particular topic later. But now we're going to talk about the methodologies. Now, the methodologies are all amazing. I'm not going to go into super detail because I've already talked so much just about the baseline investigator stuff, but they all add a lot. There is the alchemical sciences, which gives you not only the ability to craft alchemical items normally through your class features, which saves you skill feats, but you also get essentially a quick alchemy for any elixirs or tools you want to make. So you are not only, you're taking from alchemists like a really strong part of their kit. You're not going to be as good as an alchemist at it, but you're going to have the same kind of feature, being able to pull out tools as you need them, shaking up. There's a lot of really good tools, alchemical tools as well, that really help the investigator just stand out as a class in general. Empiricism is really good. It has a feature that's not one of my favorites. It's called That's Odd. But if it's done right by both the player and the DM, this is that step that gives players who are not as smart as their characters, which I'm sure we can all relate with, that little bit of an edge, mechanically speaking. That's Odd allows you to walk into a room, and if something is off, your character is automatically notified. Not of exactly what it is, but your character will notice something in the scene that will give them a clue that something is hidden. They also get the ability to recall knowledge as a free action with expedited investigation, or whatever it's called. It'll show up here on screen, where you can just use once per 10 minutes a free action to seek, recall knowledge to insights someone else. And that's really big in combat, especially. A free recall knowledge just gives it, like, I'll never underestimate how much learning about an enemy, what kind of actions they can do, what kind of weaknesses they may have, is all super important, especially for later game stuff. Getting a free action to do that is really good, in tandem with the fact that you can do it with your devised stratagem if you pick up known weakness. The forensic medicine investigator is so good because it actually makes a non-magical healer even more viable than it already is. You get trained in battle medicine, which is an amazing feat, but you also add, when you do battle medicine, your character level to the healing checks. And mixed with the medic archetype dedication, you can make a very potent and very legitimate non-magical healer. You're not going to be as good as a cleric who gets a bunch of free high-level heal spells, but you're going to be comparable. And it's a very good aesthetic and a very fun theme. And on top of that, you're already an investigator who does a lot more things than just that. So it's going to be really, really good. Interrogation is really good because it gets no cause for alarm, which is a hidden OP feat you can pick up from diplomacy, which allows you to use an action on your turn to talk down your allies who are in the frightened condition, reducing their penalties just by making a diplomacy check. Not only that, but Interrogator gets the ability to pursue a lead on a target that they've just heard about from someone talking, which you normally can't do. Normally you have to find some clues or you have to find some evidence to pursue a lead on a target. But with this feature added onto it, someone could just tell you about what happened in a scene, and you don't even have to be there to pursue that target as a lead. That is huge. It makes the Interrogator really strong, especially amongst the other methodologies. I do want to say, before we get into this last part here, as we get into the feats, because I always like doing, a good number of the feats at the end, there are certain feats that are a little bit more on the metagame side of things when it comes to investigators. They get a lot of feats that just have the DM tell them what happened or what, like, that's odd. There's a lot of other ones where you just kind of auto pass some checks and everything like that, or you get some knowledge that normally a player wouldn't get access to. Now, I want to express to everyone, these are incredibly valid. They're really good for players who just are not that great at picking up on little hints and clues, who don't have really good attention to details, or who just don't feel confident or as smart enough to pick up on these things. These are mechanics that work with the player to help you fulfill a fantasy. And I actually really love these for those players. I'm not a big fan of them, but that's because I like piecing things together myself, and I feel like I'm good at it. But for other players, these can help you make you feel like Batman, make you feel like Sherlock Holmes. And you're going to be hearing a lot of those two, the comparisons here as we get into their feats. But just know that for the more metagamey feats in the investigator's list of feats, they help the player fulfill their role. And they're really good for that. And no other class does anything like this. So if you want to play a character who's really smart and really intelligent, don't feel like you have to be intelligent to play an intelligent character. This class will help you do it. And I think that's absolutely amazing. Strategic assessment is probably one of the most powerful feats in the game because it helps you identify an enemy's highest weakness, their highest resistance and immunity if they have it, or their lowest save based on the DM's, choice. Information is paramount. I can't tell you how many times my players suffered in a fight because they didn't know a weakness an enemy had that would have made the fight much easier. Not only that, but there are some enemies in the game that are balanced around their weakness being a factor, that they're actually stronger than normal until a character finds out their weakness and exploits it, or even has the ability to exploit it. So strategic assessment is a sleeper feat. Pick it up if you absolutely can. I promise you it will make your games even better. Suspect of opportunity. I did mention this earlier when I was talking about devise a stratagem. This allows you to, once per combat equivalently, when someone attacks you, to, as a reaction, pursue them as a lead, which gives you perception checks if they're a stealthy enemy, because you can help seek them when they're hiding or anything like that. But not only that, it makes devise a stratagem a free action, which, holy crap, that's so good that you just become a martial fighter who has one strike that is just more accurate, or is more informed than others. It's absolutely good, and it helps you prevent yourself from making any major mistakes against certain types of enemies as well. I really can't state enough. Being able to use devise stratagem as a free action is a huge boon, and it makes your character's flow in combat even smoother and even better. This will improve your character's gameplay I guarantee. If anyone's ever watched that Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr., where he is dodging to the side or he's anticipating what his enemy will do in this combat scenario, foresee danger is exactly that. It actually uses your characters as a reaction. It uses your character's perception DC versus your character's a normal, like, whatever armor DC you have. And I guarantee it's going to be better because you're going to get master proficiency and even legendary proficiency in your perception before too long. Even without a strong wisdom, this will be a better than nimble dodge reaction for avoiding damage. It's absolutely amazing. It fits the investigator. It makes your character just seem like that overly analytical type who can know what an enemy will do before they can do it. I love the aesthetics for it. I love how it works. It's phenomenal, and it's really, really good. Reconstruct the scene is actually one of those metagame feats I mentioned earlier that I personally don't like too much to pick for myself, but this one I would take and I would recommend anyone takes. It lets you do that whole Sherlock Holmes thing where you go into a scene, you see how everything is moved, and you can recreate what happens. Your GM essentially tells you the basic events that happened in the room based on small bits of evidence without giving you any major details. A creature did this, a creature did that. Obviously, something happened. It'll help you follow a lead. This is just that perfect fantasy where your character completely breaks down a series of events that happened hours or maybe even days before, as long as the scene is untouched. And I think that's really good. And that's just an ability that no other class can even mimic. It's only Investigator. Like, Investigator gets a bunch of features that only Investigator can do. No other class can even mimic it nearly as well. And that's why feats like Reconstruct the Scene are huge and why I absolutely love the Investigator. Last week, we're going to get done a little early today. Trickster's Ace is such a good feat. It makes you Batman. Essentially, at the beginning of the day, you pick an arcane spell of up to 4th level that you set a trigger for, and it can only affect yourself. But essentially, as a reaction later, when that trigger occurs, the spell just goes off. I think Death Ward is actually like a 4th level spell. So you can make it where your character just through either gadgets or magical items or even their own magic, they just like, I figured I'd take that bullet. So I did, knowing that I had Death Ward up, keeping me at just alive enough to pass off as being shot dead, Or Featherfall, another really good one, where your character accidentally slips off of something and they pull a cord and just a parachute comes up. And it's just like, I'm glad I anticipated this. Like, it's so good, and it absolutely lets you have just that moment of being absolutely prepared for a scene. And you can skin it with gadgets, you can skin it with magic, you can skin it with any variety of things, magic items, that anyone can use. You can skin it in so many ways that just works really well. And like up to 4th level spells, that's so good. And you're not even a spellcaster. You don't even get cast a spell activity. You just get the effects of a spell. Absolutely amazing. I think Trickster's Ace is such a good feat, even for how high level it is. So with that is going to be the end of this video. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to help me out, helps motivate me. But also, this channel's rolling. This channel's going somewhere, and I'm really excited for that. And every time you do so, every time you comment, anytime any interactions happen on these videos, it makes it more likely that other people will see this video. And also, it's not something that really occurred to me, but if you think anyone would like these videos, recommend them to videos, or I give anyone permission to share these videos on your Discord or on a Reddit or anything to help, with whatever you're doing. If you want to show this off, show it off. I'm not telling anyone to do that on my behalf. I just want you to do it if and I want you to feel okay doing it, Some people get nervous when they share other people's content. I just want other people to know that Pathfinder has a lot of really great things, a lot of great classes, and that's something that should be shared with everyone. So that's something to consider for everyone as well. With that, that's going to be the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out any of our live plays, we play Tuesday, Friday, and Monday, but that's Anima Beyond Fantasy, not necessarily Pathfinder, but still a great system to watch. And you can join us for Table Talks every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.